This video is for educational purposes only and is not financial advice. Gold, it's the oldest symbol of wealth on the planet. Empires rose for it, wars were fought over it, people crossed oceans and deserts chasing it. But today, in our modern world filled with algorithms and digital money, gold still sits quietly at the core of the world's wealth, untouched, silent and powerful like never before. But here's the part few people know. For the ultra-rich, gold is not silent. It whispers, it earns, it works, because while most people stuff their gold into a safe or a locker and hope for the best, the wealthy do something different, something almost no one outside the financial world ever talks about. They rent out their gold bars, and they get paid for it. Picture this. Deep beneath a marble building lies a private vault. Rows upon rows of gold bars sit behind thick steel doors, untouched for years. This gold belongs to a wealthy family, a family whose story stretches back generations. They don't trade stocks, they don't chase hype, they store wealth the old-fashioned way, in metal that never rusts. But one day, the family's financial advisor looks at these gold bars and asks a dangerous question. Why should this gold just sit here? Why shouldn't it earn something? And that question unlocks a world most people have never seen. Enter the shadowy, quiet business of gold leasing, a marketplace where gold doesn't just sit in a vault, it moves, it works, it earns interest. Here's how it happens. The family's gold never leaves the safety of major vaulting institutions. But on paper, it is loaned out to companies that desperately need physical gold to survive. Refiners borrow gold to melt it and turn it into jewelry. Manufacturers borrow it to shape it into fine ornaments and coins. Even sophisticated hedge funds borrow gold to execute trading strategies worth billions. To them, borrowing gold is cheaper and far smarter than buying it. To the wealthy family, lending gold is easy money. The borrower uses the gold for months at a time. When the agreement ends, the borrower returns the same amount of gold, ounce for ounce. And the family? They get paid interest the entire time. Now, the returns aren't outrageous. Gold leasing rates typically sit between 0.5% and 3% a year. But think about that. If you have $20 million in gold, earning even 1% means $200,000 a year. For doing nothing, for lending out an asset you were planning to hold for decades anyway. The ultra-rich aren't selling their gold. They aren't betting on the market. They're simply collecting rent from metal. But every secret world has its dangers. There's counterparty risk. What if the borrower fails? What if the intermediary bank collapses? That's why the ultra-wealthy only work with the most secure, most heavily regulated vaulting institutions. There's opportunity cost. If gold prices suddenly explode upward, getting the gold back instantly may not be possible. And timing matters in the world of wealth. There's rate risk. Sometimes the leasing rate plunges to almost nothing because even gold leasing has supply and demand. Yet despite the risks, the wealthy continue doing it. Because to them, risk isn't something to fear, it's something to price. Now you might be wondering, can regular investors do this too? And here's the truth, not directly. The minimum requirements are massive. The vaulting needs to be institutional grade. The agreements are complex and often restricted to large financial entities. But retail investors can still benefit indirectly through gold-backed products, vaulted gold programs, and funds influenced by these same dynamics. So let's return to that quiet vault beneath the marble building. The gold bars are still there, shining in the dim light, untouched, undefeated by time. But now, each one is a worker. A silent employee. It earns money day after day without ever moving an inch. And that's the difference between the average investor and the ultra-rich. Most people buy assets hoping they'll rise. The wealthy buy assets that produce even when they're asleep. Even a bar of gold can become an income-producing machine if you know the secret.